She moans. You smile, and you think you gave her everything she wanted. Do you truly believe that to be the truth? What if I told you those sounds weren't pleasure at all, just a mask to protect your ego? What if every time you thought you satisfied her, she was secretly counting the ways you missed? And here's the part no one tells you. Most men never even see it coming. She doesn't complain. She doesn't argue. She doesn't stop you. Instead, she plays along. She moans at the right moments. She gives you the look you expect. She even lets you believe you're doing everything right, and you fall for it every single time. But inside, she's keeping score, not of what you did, but of what you missed. The emotional fire, the connection, the slow burn that makes her feel wanted, not just touched. Night after night, she adapts, she performs, she manages your ego, and in the process, her real desires sink deeper and deeper underground. This is why passion fades. This is why she seems distracted. This is why so many relationships feel fine on the surface but are dying behind closed doors. The brutal truth: what women crave most in bed is almost never spoken out loud. Not because they don't feel it, but because they've been conditioned to bury it. And that's exactly what I'm about to uncover for you tonight. Secrets she'll never put into words. Desires she might not even admit to herself. Stay with me until the end, because what I'm about to share is the line between being the guy she tolerates and the man she can never forget. You think you know her because she doesn't complain. She goes along. She moans in the right rhythm, arches her back at the right time, and even rewards you with a satisfied smile. To you, that looks like victory. But what you don't see is the performance behind it all. Every sigh, every gesture, every sound is carefully managed to keep your ego intact while her own needs remain untouched. This isn't a sign that she doesn't care. It's survival. Years of being with men who rush, men who equate release with fulfillment, have trained her to adapt instead of ask. She knows that if she tells you to slow down, you'll hear it as a criticism. If she admits she needs more, you'll take it as failure. So she plays her role. She protects your pride. And in doing so, she hides the very part of herself that could make the connection between you explosive. The danger is how this cycle feeds itself. The more she fakes, the more you believe you're doing everything right. The more you repeat the same pattern, the deeper her silence grows. You get faster. She gets quieter. And both of you end up trapped in encounters that look fine on the outside but feel empty underneath. This is why so many relationships collapse without anyone ever knowing why. Because she's not going to tell you the truth. She's just going to keep performing until one day she stops performing for you altogether. And here's where most men make the biggest mistake. You think sex is about what your hands do, or how many moves you know. You focus on technique like it's a performance checklist. Faster, harder, longer. You believe action alone proves desire. But for her, silence in the bedroom isn't golden, it's suffocating. Her arousal lives in her ears as much as in her skin. She craves words that make her feel like more than a body. She wants to hear your thoughts in real time, what you see, what you feel, what you're discovering about her. Not a script, not empty compliments. Raw, specific appreciation. The curve of her waist, the way her breathing changes under your touch, the look on her face when she loses herself for a second. Those details make her feel truly seen. Without that, even your best techniques fall flat. She feels touched, but not desired, wanted, but not worshipped. And she'll never tell you this, because she doesn't want to shatter the illusion you live in. So she stays quiet, and you stay blind. But when you speak, when you narrate what she does to you, you create connection that no position or move can replace. You stop being just a man who touches her. You become the man who makes her feel unforgettable. The truth is, for her, intimacy doesn't begin when the clothes come off. It starts hours earlier, in the smallest, most ordinary moments of the day. The glance you give her in the kitchen, the light touch on her lower back while she's cooking, the playful message you send that makes her wonder what's coming later. These tiny sparks build anticipation long before the bedroom door closes. This is where most men fail without even knowing it. They wait until they're ready, then suddenly flip the switch. But for her, desire builds slowly, like a fire being stoked over time. Every smile, every whisper, every unexpected touch adds fuel. By the time you finally take her hand and lead her toward the bedroom, her mind and body are already alive with hunger. Without this, intimacy feels like an interruption. With it, it feels like the natural continuation of a story she's been dying to live out with you. That's why a simple kiss while she's folding laundry can be more powerful than hours of technique later, because it tells her, I want you always, not just when it's convenient. If you're ready to uncover more of these secrets most men never hear, make sure you subscribe right now, because what I'm about to share next will completely rewrite the way you think about her desire. Most men approach a woman's body like tourists at a famous landmark. You hit the obvious spots. You go straight for the destinations you've been taught to chase. And in doing so, you miss the hidden treasures, the places that carry more power than you realize. Her body is not a checklist. It's a landscape. And every landscape has secrets only the patient explorer discovers. The soft space behind her ear that sends chills down her spine. The inside of her wrists that ignite when kissed slowly. The curve of her neck. The arch of her ankle. The spots you've overlooked because you've been too focused on what you thought mattered most. This is where true intimacy begins. Not in rushing to the obvious, but in exploring the overlooked. She doesn't want you to act like a mechanic running through the same sequence. She wants you to act like an adventurer, mapping out her body with curiosity, reverence, and desire. Every woman is different. Every reaction is unique. And what turns her on the most isn't just the touch, it's your willingness to discover her like no one ever has before. When you take this approach, foreplay isn't just a warm-up, it becomes the story. A slow, intoxicating journey that builds anticipation until she can barely breathe. And in her mind, you stop being another man who tries. You become the one who knows. Here's a truth most men are afraid to face. Her desires are not one-dimensional. She doesn't want the same role every time. Some nights, she craves surrender. Other nights, she burns to take control. And if you can't read the shift, you'll never unlock her full passion. There are moments when she wants to feel overpowered, not harmed. Not dominated in a harsh way, but held with a strength that lets her let go. The press of your hands pinning her wrists. The confident urgency that says you want her so much you can't hold back. This doesn't make her feel weak. It makes her feel desired. So desired, she can finally surrender without fear. But then, there are nights she wants to flip the script. She wants to push you down, to explore you with the same hunger you bring to her. She wants to set the pace, the sequence, the rhythm, to see you yield to her as she orchestrates the encounter. The magic happens when you don't force her to choose one or the other. When you sense the shift, when you give her freedom to be both the woman who melts in your arms and the woman who takes command, that freedom expands her entire erotic self, and the man who can unlock both sides of her, that's the man she can't get enough of. Routine is the silent killer of desire. Nothing drains passion faster than doing the same thing, in the same way, in the same place. When every encounter happens in the bedroom, on the same bed, in the same order, intimacy stops feeling like an adventure and starts feeling like a scheduled chore. She doesn't just tolerate novelty, she needs it. Without it, her desire suffocates beneath predictability. But with it, she comes alive. The kitchen counter suddenly becomes a stage for morning passion. The living room couch turns from a TV spot into a place of raw exploration. The shower transforms from daily necessity into a steamy playground. Even the hallway can ignite into spontaneous connection that makes her feel pursued instead of penciled into your routine. And here's the hidden truth: these changes send her powerful messages. When you break the pattern, you prove that your desire for her isn't limited to convenience. You're showing her you want her so much that you can't wait for the perfect time. That urgency makes her feel irresistibly attractive, like she's still the woman you can't keep your hands off, not just the partner you share a bed with. Novelty isn't about tricks. It's about proving, over and over, that your hunger for her is alive. And the man who keeps discovering her in new ways, that's the man she'll never get bored of. There's another layer she secretly longs for, but rarely dares to request enhancements. Not because she needs them, but because they unlock new sensations, new flavors of intimacy. Yet most women stay silent, afraid that suggesting toys, blindfolds, or even massage oil will make them look unsatisfied. Or worse, too much. That's why it has to come from you. When you introduce something new, it doesn't feel like criticism. It feels like devotion. A silk tie that shifts from fashion to playful restraint. A blindfold that heightens every touch by stealing sight. Warm oil that turns your hands into instruments of luxury. These are not substitutes for passion. They're amplifiers. Proof that you're invested enough to keep exploring her pleasure like an artist expanding his craft. But the frame is everything. If you bring them in as if you're fixing a problem, she'll shrink. If you bring them in as if you're curious, hungry, and committed to making her feel more, she'll bloom. The right approach makes her feel fascinating. The wrong one makes her feel inadequate. A man who introduces variety with confidence shows that he understands something most men never will. Her satisfaction is complex, evolving, and worth the effort to explore again and again. And that, more than anything, makes her feel truly desired. For married women, the burden grows even heavier. Over time, intimacy often shifts from passion to obligation. She is expected to always be available. Yet what she receives in return is routine, predictable, almost transactional. The woman who once felt radiant and irresistible begins to feel like a machine performing her duties without spark, without mystery. But here's the truth: she doesn't want to feel young again because she hates her age. She wants to feel young again because she misses being chased. She craves the thrill of anticipation, the electricity of being pursued, the delicious tension of wondering when and how you'll touch her next. These are the very feelings that fade when marriage treats intimacy like maintenance instead of magic. She fantasizes about being chosen, not accepted out of habit. She wants evidence that you still desire her with the same hunger you once did, that she's not just the woman you live with, but the woman you can't live without. That's why the small things matter so much more than men realize. The kiss in the kitchen, the hand that finds hers in the grocery store, the playful grab when she least expects it. These moments whisper to her, "I still see you. I still want you. You're still the one." And when a man makes her feel like that again, he doesn't just reignite passion, he awakens the woman she thought she lost. Most men obsess over physical technique, but they overlook the most powerful trigger of all her eyes. Sustained eye contact during intimacy is not just visual, it's emotional lightning. It bypasses the body and cuts straight into the soul. When you lock eyes with her, you're not just touching her skin, you're breaking through her defenses. You're telling her without words, "I see you, all of you," and that intensity amplifies every sensation she feels. She doesn't just want your body in those moments. She wants proof that you're fully present, that you're lost in her and nowhere else. But here's the danger. Silence plus lack of eye contact feels like absence. She interprets it as proof you're simply going through the motions, and nothing kills her desire faster than feeling invisible while being touched. She wants to see the effect she has on you reflected back in your eyes. She wants to watch you watching her, to know her body is pulling you deeper into desire with every reaction she gives. That loop, her seeing you seeing her, creates a vulnerability so raw that the entire experience transforms from physical mechanics into emotional fireworks. The man who dares to hold that gaze, even in the most intense moments, is the man who turns sex into connection. And that's the difference between being another encounter and being unforgettable. Female desire doesn't move in straight lines. It rises, falls, swells, and shifts like waves on an endless ocean. Yet most men approach it like a light switch, on or off, fast or slow, hard or soft. That digital mindset makes you blind to the rhythm she actually craves. She wants a man who can feel her changes in real time, to sense when she needs the pace to build slowly, and when she's ready to surge into intensity, to recognize the moments she needs steady, consistent touch, and the moments when variety makes her body explode. Timing is everything, and most men never learn it. Think of it like music. You can hammer out the notes, or you can conduct a symphony. The difference isn't the moves, it's the awareness, the flow, the ability to read and adapt. She doesn't just want sex that happens to her. She wants sex that moves with her, that rides her peaks, eases into her valleys, and carries her deeper every time. When you learn to feel her rhythm instead of forcing your own, she stops performing. She surrenders. Because finally, someone isn't treating her like a routine, they're treating her like art. And once she's experienced that, she'll never forget the man who gave it to her. The moments right after climax reveal everything. For most men, it feels like the end. They roll over, they grab their phone, they drift into sleep. But for her, those moments are the most vulnerable, the most open, the most ready for true connection. And when you disappear, she feels it like abandonment. Her body may be satisfied, but her heart is still wide open. She doesn't want you to pull away the second it's over. She wants your arms around her, your breath steady against her neck, Your words telling her you felt something real too. It's not neediness, it's biology. Her nervous system needs time to transition, to settle, to anchor the intimacy you just shared. Without that bridge, everything you built together collapses into emptiness. That's why the afterglow is everything. The soft kiss on her forehead, the hand that keeps holding hers, the whisper that says, "I loved that." These little gestures matter more than any technique you pulled off before. Because they prove you weren't just there for release, you were there for her. And when you give her that, she doesn't just remember the pleasure. She remembers the connection. She craves more. And she knows deep down, you're different from every man who ever left her feeling alone in the very moment she needed closeness the most. The truth is, many women carry a silent conflict inside them. They've been taught to tone down their desires, to want just enough to be normal, but never so much that they look wild, needy, or unladylike. So they bury the parts of themselves that don't fit the script. The cravings for roughness, the urge to take control, the fantasies that don't match the image they think they're supposed to keep. That's why she needs you to be more than just a lover. She needs you to be the man who gives her permission to want. The man who notices the subtle signals she's too afraid to say out loud. The way she tenses, then relaxes when you take the lead. The way her breath quickens when you let her guide you. The desires she hides in silence are often the very ones that would set her free if only she felt safe enough to explore them. Your role is to create that safety, not by asking her to spell it out, but by showing her that nothing she reveals will scare you. Nothing she desires will push you away. You give her room to be both gentle and fierce, both surrendered and in control. And when she feels she can unleash every side of herself without shame, that's when she stops holding back and starts giving you everything. This is what separates the ordinary man from the unforgettable one. The average man only reacts to what she says or does on the surface. He takes her words at face value, never realizing how much she's holding back. But the man she can't forget, he sees deeper. He listens to what she doesn't say. He notices the hesitation in her touch, the flicker in her eyes, the subtle shift in her breath. He reads the language of her body and responds to the truth she's too afraid to voice. That sensitivity is power, because once she realizes you understand her without judgment, she stops pretending. She starts showing you the parts of her desire no one else has ever seen. And that creates a bond she can't replicate with anyone else. She doesn't just feel wanted. She feels known. And here's the secret most men miss when a woman feels fully accepted in her sexuality. Her loyalty becomes unshakable. She's not just attracted to you, she's addicted to how you make her feel about herself. It's no longer about the sex, it's about the transformation. You become the man who awakens her, who frees her, who makes her feel alive in ways she didn't know were possible. That's the difference between being another chapter in her story and becoming the one story she never stops telling herself. When a woman feels truly seen and satisfied, everything in the relationship changes. She becomes softer, more affectionate, more supportive. She invests in you, not out of duty, but out of pure devotion. Her energy shifts from guarded and distant to radiant and giving, and that ripple touches every corner of your life. You'll notice it in the way she looks at you when you walk in the room, in the way she reaches for your hand without thinking, in the way she starts to believe in your dream as much as you do. Because when you show her that her fulfillment matters, She responds with a loyalty and passion that no amount of charm or looks could ever buy. Most men never experience this because they're too focused on their own performance. They chase ego, not connection. But the man who puts her satisfaction first unlocks a secret weapon. He doesn't just gain her body, he gains her heart, her faith, her unstoppable support. This is how relationships stop being fragile and start becoming unbreakable. Not through luck, not through tricks, but through the courage to give her what she's been starving for her whole life. And once you taste that level of devotion from a woman, you'll never settle for anything less again. When you master these truths, you stop being just another man in her past. You become the man she compares everyone else to. The man who didn't just touch her body, but awakened her soul. Ordinary men give pleasure. Exceptional men create transformation. And once she experiences that with you, she will never see intimacy or you the same way again. Think about it. Most men go their whole lives believing they're good enough because no one tells them otherwise. They settle for shallow connection, routine encounters, and partners who quietly fade away inside. But the rare man who dares to see her, hear her, and lead her into the fullness of her desire, he becomes unforgettable, irreplaceable. This is the line that divides mediocrity from mastery, the line between being tolerated and being craved. And once you cross it, every part of your relationship changes. The passion, the trust, the loyalty. The way she looks at you like you're the only man in the room. That's not an accident. That's the result of learning what no one else has ever told you. If you're ready to step into that rare category of men, the kind she never forgets, then don't stop here. Hit subscribe right now, because the secrets I'm revealing will rewrite not only your intimate life, but your entire relationship. And once you have this knowledge, you'll never go back to the way things were.